Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. In this video we're going to be recreating the winning recipe from the recent Cookpad baking contest. That is a picture of them. These are Lebanese meat pies and they're absolutely lovely. What I'm showing you here is the page of the winner. This is Dano Hamada. Hi Dano, hope I've got your name correct. What you can see on the screen is her page and this is the recipe that we're about to make. I recommend you go and have a look for recipes, and if you feel up to it, share your own. People will interact with you there, and I think you'll really enjoy Cookpad. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with the recipe. So while you can see the ingredients laid out there on my work surface, I was trying to find a name, an authentic name for these, which I couldn't. There was a couple of options. There's fataya or shviha, but neither of them used this pastry, which you can see me making now, which I'm completely intrigued by. And so we're going to call them Lebanese meat pies because that's what Dano calls them, and I think she's absolutely right. So what you can see me there is mixing in the ingredients there, and you need water. For this, you just add water until you achieve a soft dough. You're going to have to knead it for about 5 minutes or so, and by all means, if you have a stand mixer with the dough hook, let that do this work for you. What I found was I actually ended up using, for half a kilo, 500 grams of plain flour, not bread flour, I needed 250 millilitres of water. That may vary when you make it, so what I suggest you do is what I'm doing here is not adding everything in one go. Add most of it, work it. If it's a bit drier, add a bit more. There are lots of variants that can affect these things when you're making doughs and pastries. It could just be the humidity in the air even can make a difference. So work it in gradually. I'm collecting up all the bits of dough that are around the outside, and I'm going to have to put my shoulder into this and have a little bit of a workout for 5 minutes. So just keep adding a bit of water, keep working it, and eventually it will come together like it is doing now. And you've got a dough, and then you've got to just work this. So that is after 5 minutes, and you can see the change in the dough. It's looking soft, it's looking smooth, elasticated, stretchy. When I make bread, this is what I would do here. Just want to see, does it spring back much? Yeah, it does spring back. And then I'm pulling a bit and I'm thinking, I think it is a little bit dry. Yep, tiny bit dry. So I want to add a little bit more water, but all I do is just get my fingers wet really, sprinkle a bit on rather than pouring it on, because otherwise you're going to add too much. About 2 minutes of more kneading and we're there. Very happy with that. That is required to rest for half an hour, so I just pop it back in a bowl, plate on top. Gone and had a cup of tea. Recommend a nice Earl Grey. Alright, so I want to now form this into pieces. I'm going to go for a size rather than deciding on an amount before I set up. I'm thinking that's about the size of a golf ball. Yep, let's just keep going with that all the way, and there we have a dozen. Very handy. And the recipe is required here to absolutely submerge these in oil. I'm using a rapeseed oil, a light one, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, olive oil, whatever you like. I thought it was a lot of oil to use, so I didn't, and I should have done. So don't do what I did. Do what the recipe says. Submerge them in oil, because all that oil will be used. I thought it was going to be wasted. What I'm doing here is seasoning the meat. So the cinnamon went in, the salt went in, that is the nutmeg. And cloves get to use my wonderful pestle and mortar yet again. I want to make these cloves into a powder. By all means, you can buy it. If you find a already ground clove powder, then go for it. I think it won't have the same flavour. And go really easy with clove. It is unbelievably powerful, really tasty. It will take over things if you put too much in, so half a teaspoon is about right. And then, best tool in the kitchen is your hands. Don't be afraid to use them here. So we're going to give that a good mix. What I realised in a minute is I forgot to put the pepper in, so that's going to go in later. I've gone for half an onion, finely chopped up. Got to sweat that down first. Just a couple of minutes on a lowish heat, low to medium. Get them translucent. And then in goes the meat. I've opted for lamb. I always think Middle Eastern cookery is synonymous really with lamb, but by all means use beef or any other meat you like. And I don't see why this wouldn't work as a vegetarian dish if you wanted to use like a type of minced corn, for instance. You know, I think that would be absolutely fine. Okay, once I got that started, I wanted to try to break down all the little bits of meat to small as possible pieces, turn the heat down and let that gently cook for up to about 15 minutes or so. The taste, and that's when you realise, you forgot the pepper, didn't you? I was twisting away for a while there, I edited that down. That was a good half teaspoon, maybe more. I love that stuff. And that is it. Let that rest. And in fact, what I did, I decided to cool it down because I wanted to get on with this. So I popped that in the fridge. But don't do that if your fridge is full, because you'll end up warming everything else up. Now this is the part of this recipe that I was absolutely intrigued by. How on earth is this going to work? Because Dano spreads this stuff so thin, and I couldn't quite, I wasn't sure how it would work. So the oil is essential. You can see me dabbing back in and rubbing it. Obviously a very clean work surface is required here, and you've got to be gentle, you'll be extremely delicate. Ease this out, lift it up, let the weight sort of try to pull it apart. You will get a few little breaks in it like I have done, but you're going to fold this over. So you might think, well, what's the point of stretching it so thin if you're going to fold it back over, Uncle Matt? Well, I believe the reason for that would be it's laminating. So if you're making other forms of pastry, particular things like puff pastry, you end up with layers of fat and pastry. It layers up, and in some cases it provides a rising agent, it lifts. But in this, what I believe it does, it just creates this incredibly light, flaky pastry, not dissimilar to phyllo pastry. This is the style made in Dana's recipe. Just put your portion of your meat on there, fold it over all the way. I tried to squeeze the ends down a bit, and that is one done. And what I've done is I'm going to mess around with a couple of different shapes. So this, again, is more like a samosa. Everyone's familiar with those, I think. And so you just create a triangular shape, you roll it all the way down, fold it up, a bit like folding up a flag. And there we go, a samosa shape. And a very interesting shape that Dano created was more of a swirly one, which I thought was really nice actually. So you'll stretch out your pastry again, lay along a line of mixture, roll it up to create a long sausage, faff about for a moment while you think which way is the camera pointing, want to make it look nice, and then start at one end and just curl it like that. Looks great. So just keep going until you've either used up all your pastry or your meat filling. Time to bake. That was 180 degrees centigrade, approximately half an hour, but basically go until they're looking like that. Nice and golden colour, flaky, piping hot. I thought I'd just cut one in half and you can hear how nice and crunchy the pastry is, hopefully. And there you go. Yeah, a really nice meat pie from Beirut, Lebanon. Try not to get distracted by that handsome looking chap in the reflection there. While I present these, Dana presented hers on a board with some yogurts, and some lemon and some radish. So I thought, well, I'll do the same. I didn't have any minced Dano, so I've ended up using some parsley. Yeah, and what a lovely snack. Really lovely. Especially nice with some yogurt or whatever dip you fancy. I think tzatziki would also be really nice with the cucumber in there. Dana mentioned serving them with pickles, which I didn't have. And it's that pastry. For me, that pastry is wonderful. Anyway, thank you very much for watching Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Obviously, this recipe is in association with Cookpad. I hope you do go over there and give it a look. And if you're watching this via Cookpad, why not hang around Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons and see another couple of videos. And if you like, you can subscribe to me there. I'd be happy to have you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.